Dark Souls. We're gonna check. I'm probably gonna do one or two boss more tonight. Ah, wrong. Wrong character. Okay. I've just been down and killed the family. Can't remember the name of them. And it doesn't matter that much either. Cause they are dead now. So I really like this game, and tomorrow I'm gonna continue my playthrough. I'm actually going to start pretty early tomorrow, so don't miss it. Yep. Okay, what we're gonna do, we are going to go to Sif. And we're going to Slayer.
Oh, hello.
Um,
All right. That'll do it. That should...
And if you wonder why I'm going to Sif, it's solely for the Hornet Ring. Brynhilde is out in the woods, playing around, looking at the people, killing some fuckers. Woo!
What we are is a race. Don't face the fact the government fucks us in the ass. Creating another Pearl Harbor, killing its own kind. What for? I don't know, motherfucker. I guess money's on the mind. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Uno, dos. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Everybody. Everybody knows shit. Fuck. Everybody knows shit.
You beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is huge cryptocurrency news. What's up, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is huge cryptocurrency news. Bitcoin's price surged past $10,000, even passing $11,000 at one point. As of recording this video, it's dropped back down to $10,650. And while that's huge news on its own, it's also massive news that the Wall Street Journal this morning reported NASDAQ plans to launch Bitcoin futures in first half 2018. And this is huge news because many financial institutions have been somewhat skittish about getting involved in Bitcoin. There's still a lot of people that associate cryptocurrency with things like Silk Road, purchasing guns, drugs. There are also the concerns around the volatility of Bitcoin. While it's very exciting for everyone involved to see what they put their money in going up 10% in a day, 20% in a day, it's equally terrifying for these institutions to see it plummet at times. One of the last times that happened was when everyone was freaking out selling Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash. Then Bitcoin bounced back stronger than ever. Actually, funny enough, hitting on the point that I was just making an update to this story. While I was recording this video, Bitcoin dropped to $8,700 a coin and then bounced back to around $9,900. And honestly, who knows where it will land by the time you watch this video. Also, for transparency's sake, before moving forward, you should know that I have money in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right, so I'm not talking about this as a complete outsider. If it does well, I benefit. If it drops, I do not benefit. Also, I feel like it doesn't need to be pointed out, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to give you advice. But that said, since I openly started talking about Bitcoin back when it was around $4,500, I've been getting the question, Phil, how do I get involved? And to that I say there are a lot of different ways. If you're going to put a lot of money in, I highly recommend you get a ledger. Look into that, research that, but also if you're looking into dabble, I highly recommend. It's incredibly easy for beginners. Coinbase. They've got an easy site, an easy app for selling Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Also very awesomely, if you use my referral link in the description down below, if you put in $100, both you and I get $10 of free Bitcoin. But all of that said, yes, this is an exciting situation for many people. It's an exciting situation for me. But please, I think the best advice you could ever get when it comes to Bitcoin, whether you're a true believer or not, is do not put in more money than you are willing to lose. While we're talking about record highs today, whenever you look at an industry that is booming in its infancy, and I know that it's been years, but this is still technically its infancy. You don't know what's going to happen, and one of the most wild things to ever see in cryptocurrency is someone just learning about what's happening with Bitcoin, and then 12 hours later, they're just openly talking about their predictions of what's going to happen. They haven't looked into what the blockchain is. Maybe there hasn't been a ton of research into what exactly they're putting their money into. They see this hockey stick and they get excited and they throw their money at it. But that's also why in the near future I want to come out with a video or two trying to talk about that, as well as why in my personal life I'm an investor and advisor for things like the Props Project. But all that said, whether you're involved now, you use the referral code, you don't, I don't care. What are your thoughts around this? Is it exciting? Is it scary? Is it both? Did you get in early? Did you get out early? I've seen a lot of those stories, but I'd love to know what you're thinking and why. Then let's talk about why so many people are angry at the Victoria's Secret Angels right now. And it's because of this Twitter video. Now, if you were not familiar with the work of art that is Cardi B's Bodak Yellow, seemingly all those white models just sang the N-word. And so there was a lot of outrage, many people calling this racist. Even Cardi B herself retweeted an angry tweet that had the video. And as of recording this video, neither Cardi B or Victoria's Secret have released a statement. But I did want to share this story because there is a debate around this. The question for many is, can you say a certain word if you're white? And also, does the feeling change if you're talking about not saying it, but singing it in an established song? I would love to know what you think. And it's also going to be interesting to see what happens from here. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today in awesome. And the first bit of awesome, come on, you know what it's gonna be. We got a trailer for Avengers Infinity War. Oh my god, I'm so excited to see this, but also at the same time, let's be honest, it also feels like it's gonna be a heartbreaking bloodbath. Oh, I'm excited. Then we get a trailer for a really interesting movie called Love, Simon. We also got another teaser for Black Mirror Season 4, but still no release date. Why are you doing this? Is it because you know that it bothers us? You're the devil, but I love it. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. Then in super happy fun time news, let's talk about North Korea. North Korea launched another missile test after taking about a 2-month hiatus. And while this may seem like just business as usual, this test, the one that just happened yesterday, is a whole different deal. In their last test, they shot a Hwasong 14 over Japan. North Korea obviously escalating tensions there, not only because the United States is worried about their ally, but because the Hwasong 14 could hit Guam and likely the west coast of the United States. But if there was a silver lining to the situation, people saw it as, well, they really wouldn't be able to hit a lot of mainland United States. Many experts saying they believed it would be years before the North Koreans managed to have properly working missiles capable of hitting the continental United States. Unfortunately, thanks to yesterday's test, that seems to not be the case. The test yesterday was a new type of missile called the Hwasong-15. The missile reportedly took off at 3 a.m. local time. It went 2,600 miles into space. For reference, the International Space Station flies at about 240 miles above the Earth. It then re-entered the atmosphere successfully and landed about 584 miles away from North Korea, actually landing well into Japan's economic exclusion zone. That's the part of the ocean where Japan has all the rights. Following this test, North Korean state media told locals, it's the most powerful ICBM, which meets the goal of the completion of the rocket weaponry system development set by North Korea. Kim Jong-un declared with pride that now we have finally realized the great historic cause of completing the state nuclear force. Also, if you're wondering why are they cheering for a rocket test that landed less than 600 miles away, well, that's because this test didn't follow a standard trajectory. According to David Wright, a scientist with the Union of Concerned Scientists, said that if the missile had been flying at a standard trajectory, it could fly 8,100 miles. Adding such a missile would have more than enough range to reach Washington, D.C., and in fact any part of the continental United States. And Defense Secretary Mattis telling reporters, the missile went higher, frankly, than any previous shot they have taken, adding that North Korea has the ability to hit everywhere in the world, basically. So the question now is, what now? The North Korean threat appears more real than ever. North Korea has made it clear that their next step is to test a warhead on one of these missiles in the open air, either by detonating one in the atmosphere or on the surface in the Pacific Ocean. I mean, that's something that the largest nuclear powers stopped doing decades ago because of the dangers. And North Korea has tried to claim, quote, North Korea would not pose any threat to any country and region as long as our interests are not infringed upon. This is our solemn declaration. But with how they talk about the United States and the fact that they shot a missile over Japan, that doesn't seem too peaceful. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has also condemned the launch, saying that the U.S. remains committed to finding a peaceful path to denuclearization, adding diplomatic options remain viable for now. So that's where we are now, which is a drastically different situation from just last week. I end up in a situation where, you know, obviously the idea of a North Korea that can shoot the United States with a nuke, it's terrifying. But also, how much does it actually change the situation? If North Korea wants mutually assured destruction, which is the situation that we're in now, they've always had it with South Korea or Guam before. And also, while I hate North Korea, Kim Jong-un, all their leaders, everything that they stand for, it also makes sense why they've gone down this road. If you look at the world stage, often to be taken seriously, you need to have the big weapon. But what comes next? I don't know. It's an incredibly tricky situation, and it seems like no matter the outcome, there are many, many losers. I mean, honestly, even if you went the diplomacy route, let's say Trump is actually playing good cop, bad cop with North Korea. What the United States does with North Korea around nuclear weapons, Iran is going to see. And obviously, it's been a big thing for Washington to keep nukes away from Iran. But all that said, I do want to pass a question up to you. What is your takeaway from this? Also, with this new launch, does this situation seem more real to you? Let me know what you're thinking in those comments down below. Then we had the news that the highest paid host in broadcast news, Matt Lauer, was fired. And this has been done thanks to an allegation of sexual misconduct on Matt Lauer's behalf. NBC News Chairman Andrew Lack sending a memo to his employees that read, on Monday night, we received a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. It represented, after serious review, a clear violation of our company's standard. As a result, we've decided to terminate his employment. While it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years he's been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. And that last point is something I want to hit on, the fact that they don't believe that this is an isolated incident. Well, that appears to be because Variety and the New York Times have been working on a Matt Lauer piece. Variety's New York bureau chief tweeting, for the last 2 months, Elizabeth Wagmeister and I have been reporting on a story about serious sexual harassment allegations against Lauer. There were multiple victims. Adding, NBC was aware that Variety was working on a bombshell story about sexual harassment allegations against Matt Lauer. Elizabeth Wagmeister then tweeted, at Variety, Raman Sadude and I had been working on a Matt Lauer story for months and NBC was aware. There were multiple women we've spoken to with far-ranging accusations against Lauer. Brian Stelter of CNN then tweeted, reporters for the New York Times have been investigating Matt Lauer for several weeks. Here's my story, updating it every few minutes. Now, as far as who is the main woman that made a complaint here, we don't know her name. Her lawyer refused to provide a name, but did say, my client and I met with representatives from NBC's Human Resources and Legal Departments at 6 p.m. on Monday for an interview that lasted several hours. Our impression is that at this point, NBC acted quickly, as all companies should when confronted with credible allegations of sexual misconduct in the workplace. Adding, while I'm encouraged by NBC's response to date, I am in awe of the courage my client showed to be the first to raise a complaint and to do so without making any demands other than the company do the right thing. The Times also reported that they spoke with the woman on Monday, but she said she wasn't ready to come forward with her story publicly. So that said, it's very likely we're going to get details coming out into the news soon. And so as of right now, since there's not more information, we don't know also the other allegations, there's really not much I can chime in on. But this does kind of tie into the last thing I wanted to talk about today. One of the people that commented on this situation was Donald Trump. Trump saying, wow, Matt Lauer just fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. But when will the top executives at NBC and Comcast be fired for putting out so much fake news? Check out Andy Lack's past. Which one, let's not even dive into how odd it is that he comments on any sexual harassment claims whatsoever when they're in the news. Seems like the last thing he would want would be for people to go, well, what about those accusations against Trump? What happened with those? But I did want to talk about Trump this morning because of some of his retweets. He retweeted several anti-Muslim videos this morning that show unverified accounts of Muslim violence. Donald Trump retweeting Jada Franson, who's the deputy leader of Britain First. Britain First is a far-right organization out of Britain. And I say unverified, although one is definitively fake. The first video that Trump tweeted, Jada titled, Muslim migrant beats up Dutch boy on crutches. The Dutch authorities said that wasn't a Muslim migrant, that was a Dutch national. So they're saying the person in that video was neither Muslim nor a migrant. The others are titled, Muslim destroys a statue of Virgin Mary. Another reads, Islamist mob pushes teenage boy off roof and beats him to death. The third video has now been reportedly identified by media outlets as being from the 2013 Egyptian coup. It's being reported that the teenage victims were celebrating Islamist President Mohammed Morsi being deposed by the country's army. Now, of course, some in Trump's base loved the retweeting of these videos. Among those supporters, you had people like David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the KKK, tweeting, thank God for Trump, that's why we love him. Also, we saw the White House defending these retweets. The interaction reporters had with White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was interesting.
You're saying he's promoting anti-Muslim content. Is that his goal?
No, I think his goal is to promote strong borders and strong national security. And I think that is, again, something that is no secret to anyone that's a big focus of this president.
So the retweets are about having a conversation about border security and immigration. She seems to argue that it doesn't matter if the videos are real or not because the threat is real, which I will say to me is kind of an insane argument. It was also very interesting to see the full political spectrum saying that Trump should not have retweeted those things. You saw so many people from the left obviously denouncing Trump, but it was also interesting to see people like Paul Joseph Watson, top editor at InfoWars, tweeting, yeah, someone might want to tell whoever is running Trump's Twitter account this morning that retweeting Britain First is not great optics. Which I will say is good to see. It's so incredibly common these days to see someone just argue a point no matter what. That's my guy, that's my woman, and they're never in the wrong. But of course, this part of the story isn't the main thing. The fact that Trump would put this out there to millions and millions more people, this doesn't look like an attempt to start a conversation on a topic. This looks like getting people riled up. Crazy. Retweeting this woman who has been found guilty. I don't see this as anything other than fear-mongering. It makes me think back to a story we covered last year about Jo Cox. She was a Labour MP. A week before the Brexit vote, she was murdered. She died from being shot and stabbed in public by a man who was shouting, this is for Britain, Britain first, killing Jo Cox because of her belief in the benefit of immigration. And it's just astonishing to me that our fucking president, just seemingly out of the blue, would just retweet this garbage. Things that have been confirmed fake, they're unverified, or just misleading. A guy that it feels like if there's even a hint that someone that was behind an attack was brown, he's like, this is what I was talking about, a travel ban, maybe I'll just go back to calling it the Muslim ban. And he'll just continue to talk about it, but then when it's a white guy, it doesn't really feel like that. At least there now it feels like he doesn't take several days to comment on it. The language he uses is different. And I just find myself every single day more and more embarrassed that this man is my president. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt whenever I can. Whenever there's an overextension by the media, a misrepresentation of him by the media, I will call it out, but just, wow, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind-the-scenes vlog on why I went to New York recently, click or tap right there. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow. You beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is this insanity between Project Veritas and the Washington Post. Yesterday, the Washington Post published an article titled, A Woman Approached the Post with Dramatic and False Tale About Roy Moore. She appears to be part of undercover sting operation. Now, as we've talked about on the show before, Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore has been accused of sexual misconduct with women as young as 14 years old. Now, Moore has repeatedly denied those accusations, calling them an attempt to derail his campaign. And as of right now, he he's still staying in this race despite both Democrats and Republicans calling for him to step down. But then in walks in a story worse than all of those before. A woman by the name Jamie T. Phillips comes forward to the Washington Post with an accusation that she had a sexual relationship with Moore when she was 15. And according to her, that relationship resulted in a pregnancy and an abortion. Also, before moving forward, when I say this story was worse than those that came before, what I mean by that is worse for Moore based on who's voting for him. Because despite accusations from women who were 14 and 16 years old at the time that Moore sexually touched them, also in one instance he allegedly jammed one of their heads into his crotch, said no one will believe you. Despite that, Roy Moore still has a lead over his opponent. One of the things we keep hearing more and more from people saying they're still going to be voting for Moore despite all the stuff that's coming out against him is that his opponent, Doug Jones, is pro-choice, whereas Moore is not. And so the justification I've seen from more voters online is that they're just choosing the lesser of two evils. But back to this story. The Washington Post interviews Jamie Phillips for 2 weeks. And during those interviews, reporters found inconsistencies in her stories that made them suspicious. Reporters also found it odd that she would repeatedly ask them to guarantee that her coming forward with this story would have an effect on Moore's candidacy. And it gets really interesting when one reporter confronts her about the inconsistencies. And I'll link to the full video down below, but just to save some time, she says that she applied for the Daily Caller, that job fell through. And then the reporter moves on to what job she has currently.
I'm also, frankly want to know if you're, who you might be working for now.
I still do mortgage work.
Well, it's a little bit of an issue there, and I just want to ask you to explain it, because when we called the company that you said that you worked for, they said they didn't have, that you didn't work there. You still have an interest in working in the conservative media movement to combat the lies and deceit of the liberal MSN. Is that still your interest?
No, not really.
Yeah. No. So if you're not working for that mortgage company, where are you working?
I work for one of the franchises. I don't work
For one of the. And what's the franchise?
It's
You said a brand.
yeah.
A brand. Maverick.
Yeah.
And where is that?
It was out of the area.
Just in general, this is my opinion here. It appears her whole story is waffling. She tries to save her story, but it seems like nothing's adding up. So of course the question becomes, okay, well, so if she didn't get that job with the Daily Caller like she said, on her GoFundMe page where she said she accepted a job for a conservative media site, specifically a conservative media site to combat the lies and deceit of the liberal MSM, who was she referring to? Well, on Monday morning, Washington Post reporters saw Phillips walking into the New York offices of Project Veritas. Now, if you're not familiar, Project Veritas is an organization that targets news outlets to expose what they claim to be media bias. We've talked about them on the show before. They posted those nothing burger videos, those videos about CNN, videos about the New York Times, YouTube. And on a personal note, for transparency's sake, when I see stuff from Project Veritas, I am very, very skeptical of it. The way the editing is done on most of the videos I've ever seen seems incredibly misleading. But back to the story, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe declined to answer questions about Phillips that morning and when reporters followed up with him.
I am not doing an interview right now, so I'm not going to say a word, okay?
Now, because the Washington Post was convinced that Phillips was part of a sting operation, they decided to publish all of their interactions. This including the video of their confrontation and any previously off-the-record conversation. Executive editor Martin Barron saying, "We always honor off-the-record agreements when they're entered into good faith, but this so-called off-the-record conversation was the essence of a scheme to deceive and embarrass us. The intent by Project Veritas clearly was to publicize the conversation if we fell for the trap. Because of our customary journalistic rigor, we weren't fooled. We can't honor an off-the-record agreement that was solicited in maliciously bad faith." Then we see James O'Keefe tweet out a clip from that second interview. And in it, he's the one grilling the reporter with questions. He tweets it out with a caption, "Washington Post sends a reporter to question me, but take a look, who's interviewing who?" In the video, O'Keefe just seems like this journalistic badass. The Washington Post came to ask him questions, but when he started asking the Washington Post questions, they ran away. But then the Washington Post responds with the full version of their interview, and it paints a completely different picture. One could very easily argue that it paints reality because it doesn't cut out a huge chunk of the interview. What we see in the footage that James O'Keefe and Project Veritas edited out was the Washington Post asking questions, getting zero answers from O'Keefe, who decided that his only response would be to ask questions back. And ultimately brings us to this point in the interview.
Those are my questions, and I'd like you to answer them.
All right, well, I've got some questions.
And if you're not going to answer any of my questions, and just ask me back questions, I'm going to consider this interview to be over. Because I didn't come here to answer questions, I came here to ask the questions.
I'm familiar with what you did.
I approached you this morning to ask you a question. You said, come back, make an appointment. I came back and made an appointment. So it's my turn to ask a question, and your turn to answer it. Does Jamie Phillips work for you, sir?
Here's what's happening. Veritas has an investigation that we're about to release. We've got some comments by some of your staff. Do you want me to talk or
I want you to answer one of my questions. Does Jamie Phillips work for Project Veritas? Did you send her to approach the Washington Post under a false name and with a fake story? And if you're not going to answer that question, we're done.
I want to talk about one of your
I'm disappointed.
national
All right.
security reporters.
Thank you.
Came all the way
And so it becomes clear that despite having this scheduled second interview, O'Keefe's not going to answer any questions. The guy from the Washington Post realizes, okay, O'Keefe's not going to answer any of my questions. It's time to leave. And that's where we get the Project Veritas video, which makes it look like the Washington Post is running away. So we have that complete misrepresentation from Project Veritas. Then Project Veritas posts another video. This one they say exposing the Post's bias agenda. And in the video, they talk to national security reporter Dan Lamothe. They also talk to Joey Marburger, the Washington Post director of product. In the beginning of the video, O'Keefe tries to paint this picture that the Washington Post is scared about what he has on them. So that's why they're doing the story about an imagined sting.
American Problem, Washington Post edition. Today, the Washington Post is floundering. They're spending a ton of time and money trying to turn the tables on Project Veritas, talking about an imagined sting. But why are they so afraid? What are they so afraid of? What are they guarding against? Well, it turns out Project Veritas has done an undercover investigation into the Washington Post. The motto of the Washington Post is democracy dies in darkness. We think democracy dies when the media has a very biased agenda they don't reveal to the public.
So if you actually watch the video and you're not just listening to what O'Keefe is saying is happening in the video, nothing really transpires. Dan says this in the video.
Don't like that. I mean, here's the thing though. There's the news side that's just trying to cover it critically and call bullshit when they're full, but also like giving credit where there's credit. You know, like, yeah, some things are good. He's doing more things bad, but he's doing some good things good. And then there's like the other side of it that's like, you know, the opinion from God, like the Washington Post institutional voice, and that's like the editorial.
So hopefully what was just said was news to nobody. The news side, the reporting side, is calling bullshit on when there's bullshit, giving Trump credit when there's credit. And then in editorial, the opinion section, they rip into Trump, right? Hopefully everyone knows that there's a difference between a regular news story and an op-ed. And the thing that's frustrating is there's still going to be enough people that go, oh, editorial, those are the editors that are screwing over the people just trying to do news. No, editorials are just the opinion section. So the Post editorial section opposes Trump, news to nobody. There's also a part that talks about how Trump is good for business. Once again, that should be news to nobody. There's a reason why Stephen Colbert is now the king of late night. He beats on Trump every single day. Being the opposition has always been good for business. I mean, if you look at The Blaze, Rush Limbaugh, InfoWars, all of these places thrived during an Obama administration. Now, also lucky for them during this time, you have a president that wasn't elected by popular vote. You have a very polarizing president, a president that is contested by many in the public. So they still get to thrive on being the opposition. Now they're just the opposition to the other guys, the media. And a big thing I want to hit on here is I'm all about exposing fucked up things in mainstream media. I'm all about trying to knock down someone trying to mislead the public. But it is also incredibly important to look at these independent outlets, including Project Veritas, and see if they are misleading. Because they, and myself included, benefit anytime people don't trust mainstream media and they want to support an independent outlet. But when you lie or misrepresent a situation to get that support, you are part of the problem. At the end of the day, what the situation looks like is we have Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, either hiring or working with a woman to knowingly lie to the Washington Post about a sexual assault, which, by the way, all that does is hurt other actual assault victims. And then they put out these videos misrepresenting what happened as a way to deflect from the main story. James O'Keefe, I looked through your comment section. The people that support you will continue to support you. Many continue to eating it up as expected. Maybe you lose a few stragglers here and there that actually care about seeing the truth, the other side of the story. But for everyone else, all you did was make the Washington Post look like a fantastic establishment. It looks like someone tried to lie to the Washington Post to prove that just the media, they're out against Moore, they're out against Trump, they will post anything. And in this instance, they were proved to be 100% wrong. So congratulations on that. But from there, I want to share some stuff I love today. And today in Awesome, brought to you by Postmates. Postmates, of course, fantastic delivery on demand app. You just open up the app, you want something from a store or a restaurant, you select it, and it's delivered to your home, your business, your wherever. With how limited my time is these days, it has become vital to my life. If you want to try it out, you're new, go to postofranco.com, download the app. When you're in the app, use coupon code PhillyD. Use that, and they'll give you $100 in free delivery credits. So that way, if you try it out, you love it, you get to keep using it. If not, well, your life became a little more convenient for a little bit, and then you go back to normal. The first bit of awesomes for those of you that maybe need a little assistance getting into the holiday season, we got a brand new video from Pentatonics where they sing Deck the whole. And that's just the most recent of their videos. Last year they posted one for Hallelujah, easily my favorite. But yeah, I'll stop gushing about them. I'm just a big fan. Then we got the honest trailer for The Room. Very excited for the Disaster Artist coming out this weekend, but if you need something to hold you over, here's a little treat. Then we got a brand new Binging with Babish video. Shows you how to kinda make the garbage plate from The Place Beyond the Pines. And if you want to see the full versions of everything, I just shared the secret link of the day anything at all links as always are in the description down below. Then in, oh wow, that's a real thing news. Let's talk about Olivia Budget. Olivia is a fitness blogger out of Australia, and she has recently come under fire for a post where she wrote, "Cancer and disease is your body trying to save you. Allow me to possibly challenge your belief about cancer and other diseases. What if these conditions were not actually bad at all? What if they were created by the body to help save you? What if disease is your body's survival mechanism? Being open-minded and changing your perspective around what disease actually is and why it's happening will allow you to take back control of your health and realize that your body is always working for you and never against you." Adding, "In this modern day, we are consumed by the medical industry's information, which leads us to believe that disease happens to us through genetic disposition, but disease is a natural defense mechanism to prevent a much more serious situation from occurring." Olivia, what is a much more serious situation than cancer? The only escalation from having cancer seems to be dying from said cancer. Let me say this loud and proud for the people in the back. Do not take medical advice from random people on the internet. I don't care if it's some blonde woman drinking green juice saying that she's a fitness blogger. That does not make her qualified to question what we understand about cancers. And I personally get frustrated when I see Olivia because it reminds me of Belle Gibson. Gibson, you might remember, was the Australian fitness blogger who faked having brain cancer. She then claimed her natural diet cured her brain cancer. She sold a book and app. She later got exposed for lying. The government cracked down on her. But when I look to Olivia, I'm not saying she did what was as bad as Belle Gibson. It just all comes off as batshit crazy. And I'm not saying Olivia is evil. I'll even give Olivia the benefit of the doubt. Let's say she has the best intentions. She shouldn't just be throwing out things that you can't confirm. Now, Olivia has removed the post because there's a lot of backlash. That said, I do want to share my favorite comment I saw in response to this. Someone wrote, "I would discuss this with my brother, but his healthy body-saving leukemia killed him." That's funny, heartbreaking, and also shows the exact problem with what Olivia is talking about here. But also understand that most likely Olivia is going to keep feeding the internet stuff like this. I saw another post where she's holding, of course, a green juice, and it has the caption, "There's only one disease," adding, "There are over 30,000 names to label different diseases in the world. But what if I told you there was actually only one disease?" Okay, Olivia, here, one, no, and two, why do you start all your captions like you're Morpheus? What if I told you you should go to a doctor and not listen to random people on the internet? Whatever, it's the internet. I can't stop stupid from breeding. The internet has allowed us to accomplish so many things. It has changed our lives in so many ways, but it's also allowed for this orgy of stupid to take place. Anyway, moving on. Then a quick update to that YouTube adpocalypse story we talked about yesterday. This latest iteration of the adpocalypse being around child exploitation, completely inappropriate sexual or violent videos being fed to children. Also, a lot of these videos exposing that there was a huge child predator problem on the site. And yesterday I said that I thought YouTube was going to be very aggressive about it, and holy hell they are. It's being reported that YouTube deleted 150,000 videos that became targets for comments by child predators. YouTube also saying they deleted 270 accounts, turned off comments on 625,000 videos. YouTube also said they removed ads from around 2 million other videos and 50,000 channels. And when I hear those numbers, I think a few things. The first being, most likely they didn't find all the videos, and this is going to be a consistent problem moving forward. The people that were making these horrible videos, they were profiting off of it, most likely they will try to adapt. They'll continue to try and find ways to beat YouTube at their own game. Also, when you hear 150,000 videos have been deleted, most likely there were some probably okay videos deleted in the midst of that. But also, when you have numbers that large, it makes you think of the biggest criticism of YouTube so far, and that's how did they not notice this was a problem before? They as a company, did they have that much blind faith that the algorithm was going to do its job and filter out the content for the kids? Or did they just kind of turn a blind eye? I think of this as just a small, minimal, nothing problem because they didn't want to rock the boat and hurt ad revenue. Or I want to end the story because it's still developing. We have to see how successful YouTube is moving forward. Where I want to end the story is YouTube's reaction to this isn't going to be perfect. There is still going to be offending content on the site. Once again, what I would ask is to the parents out there that give their kid a tablet, a phone, just check in. Look at what kind of content your kid's consuming. If it ends up being one of the messed up pieces of content, don't just post something and be outraged online. Make sure that you flag that content. In an ideal world, you're flagging one, it'll handle that situation there, but it also helps feed the algorithm so it knows what kind of content to watch for in the future. And that's where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you liked this video, you like what I try and do on the channel, you want to support independent media, go to DeFrancoElite.com, sign up, become a member, support what we're making now and building for tomorrow. Also, if you missed and want to catch up on yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to take a probably embarrassing dive into the past, here's a playlist for what happened today, but in years past. With that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Is it that the travel?
Welcome to Podcast
Well,
Vault. The Church of What's Happening Now is brought to you by Nature Box. Listen, the goods. The holidays mean one thing. Go, go, go. You got presents to wrap, travel to plan, relatives to bring.
And here,
With
take
all
us
that,
this
it can be
ring.
hard to find time to
If
eat
thou
healthy.
wearest that
Let
ring.
Nature Box help with the snacks that are both
If
delicious
thou wearest that
and
ring,
better
it allow-
for you. If you're trying to eat better, the holidays are a minefield. You know that. Chocolate cookies, candy canes. Everybody, I just have one piece. It's no fun feeling left out of deliciousness. Let Nature Box help you with snacks that you love and that are seriously delicious and better for you. And right now, what I'm going to do for you, Uncle Joey, right off the bat. See, some people show up, they beg. I'm giving you something off the bat. I'm offering you 50% off of your first order when you go to naturebox.com/Joey. Make sure you get the, no, they sent me a box last week, delicious. I didn't give you a dick, I'm sorry.
I know, I never get a Nature Box.
I got, you know what happened? The beef jerky. Oh my God, the jalapeno, sweet jalapeno.
That's good stuff.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's naturebox.com/Joey. And I'm going to give you 50% off your first order. Again, naturebox.com/Joey. Now, what goes up must come down. And what goes in must go out. The reason why I'm talking to you right now is I've been telling you this for about a year, but now I'm going to drop it on you. But days are back. When you're writing your little Santa list this year, tell that cocksucker one thing, that he still owes you money, and two, that all you want for Christmas is your asshole to fucking be spotless clean. When you got Access pine cones coming out of your fucking muffler and fudgy shit smeared all over, on holy night, you need a Tushy bidet, all right? What's a bidet? A bidet is portable. You snap it on your toilet, and after you take the shit,
Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers is probably one of the greatest stories ever told. I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, to me, it is incredible. I feel like Hickman writes the stories as like a book and then turns it in as a script, and then somebody actually does the lettering, and then somebody, you know, does it's amazing the way this gets done, because it does such a, like, it tells such an incredible story. Now, here's a funny thing. This whole idea, again, basically starts the whole play of the collapse of the multiverse, which is to say the end of the Marvel Universe, and then the starting of all new, all different Marvels. So it goes into Secret Wars and all that kind of good stuff, but like I said, it's a huge epic, so things just get crazy and crazy and crazy as time goes on. But initially what we do is we pick up in Wakanda about a day before really the current events. And so what we end up doing is, of course, we follow the technologically advanced nature of Wakanda. Now, for those of you guys who are new to Marvel Comics, who are new to like the Black Panther mythos, things like that, whether it's because you're getting into the movies or what have you, Wakanda is the most advanced city in the world. It's technologically advanced on a multitude of different platforms. And the reason for this is because Wakanda is the only source of Wakandan vibranium. Remember, there's two types. There's anti-metal vibranium, which basically breaks down metal on the atomic level, which is what you find in the Antarctic or the Arctic or something along those lines. Wakandan vibranium can absorb sound and also amplify magic. And so because of that, it's actually the most sought after form of vibranium. But because Wakanda is the only place to get it, they can charge just insane rates for people to get a hold of it. But not to mention that they have like tons and tons of it. Now, keep in mind, this comes after Doom War. And so really with the events of Doom War taking place, Dr. Doom invading Wakanda, and of course you'll find that video down down in the description. But Doctor Doom invading Wakanda for the purpose of basically trying to find a way to steal all the vibranium and amplify his own magical abilities for world domination. The response to this, the result, is that Black Panther rendered all vibranium across the world completely inert. Now, the reason why that matters is because with vibranium being rendered useless, Wakanda basically destroyed his entire country's like social and economic structure. They had no means to generate money. They were just a country out there in Africa somewhere. And so because of this, Black Panther, in addition to the Doom War events, had actually let his sister Shuri take his place, and she became the new Black Panther, and the result was that T'Challa actually just became somewhat of a figurehead. But when the time came for him to basically retake his crown, it really wasn't there. It was, you destroyed everything that made our country what it is, you're not going to be Black Panther again. And so in this instance, because he's basically the smartest person in his country, his role's been confined more to like an advisory position and really more of like teaching and instruction. Now, because Wakanda's so advanced, they've charted all these aspects of the spaceways. I mean, they're not really launching ships into space, but they've charted all these different aspects of the spaceways. Their knowledge of science and technology is well beyond normal humans. And that's what this does. It initially emphasizes the idea that they're focusing on, expanding their own, knowledge and so on and so forth. But what ends up happening is that in the midst of all this, T'Challa is actually sidetracked by the arrival of an Earth
Jävlar. Men vad fan. Okay, we made it. Oh,
Why not? My... I'll be seeing you. Be careful out there. It won't be. Don't get yourself... Well, don't get yourself... Well, need anything forged? Don't get yourself killed.